and welcome to Game 2 of the Spoiler Log Tournament Bronze match. We have Zelda versus Relkin. This is a best of 3 match. You can see that Zelda has taken the first game, and if Zelda can win this one over Relkin, he will have secured his 3rd place official finish in this tournament. Relkin, if he needs to stay alive, will need to win out this match versus Zelda and force Game 3 so that he can get his own opportunity to get the bronze medal match. And yesterday's match, if you didn't catch it, was incredibly close. Relkin ended up eating a poisonous mushroom early on, and Zelda was not able to be caught. I'm joined today by my wonderful co-commentator, Tracy Young. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Looking forward to a really good race here between 2 really good runners. Like you said, we had a nice close one yesterday, so hopefully we'll get another nice close race today. They're about to start. As you see the countdown timers both going with the countdown instead of the count up, so our timers are nice and synced, and we get a moon pearl right away.
Yeah, it looks like both runners are headed to the castle. Must be something good here. Both not taking advantage of the Tier 1 tree pull, so, certainly, according to the spoiler log, they have that information available to them. It looks like the resources there probably aren't necessary for what they want to do.
Okay, looks like the Uncle Chest has something for us. Oh, a sword. It's a nice place to find a sword. Let's see if they continue. It looks like they're both going to continue into the escape since we don't see save and quit.
Alright, making their way first into, looks like the basement of Hyrule Castle. Very convenient start here with a permanent weapon being that sword of theirs. And, Hyrule Castle being one of the earliest dungeons that they'll have, this is probably among the easiest in terms of difficulty. Very many runners here are well practiced using a sword strats here. Alright, both runners picking up some bombs.
And nice to have that bomb chest early. One of the big differences in spoiler log. Typically in a regular randomizer, you're going to see, you're going to pick up arrows, you're going to pick up bombs just by accident because they're just all over the place. You're going to skip most of those chests, so knowing where those early bombs are certainly going to help them out when they need them for other checks.
Oh yeah, anytime you need to have a bomb or wall open, you always want a bomb there, right? The well, Gina. Finding a hook shot here is also super nice.
Yeah, looks like that's all we're getting.
Always kind of nice, right? In a spoiler tournament or in a race like this, you don't have to go all the way down to Zelda's cell.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I said Zelda's cell. Zelda doesn't have a cell.
Well, maybe he does. We just don't know about it. But
yeah.
Okay, looks like we're headed toward the dam. Okay, looks like Zelda's headed towards the dam. Looks like Relkin's headed towards Mini Moldorm.
Yeah, Zelda looks like he wants a safety first, picking up the heart container in the dam before heading off to, presumably, it's going to be also Mini Moldorm Cave.
Yeah, you'll see the runners try and route in a few container hearts here and there. So yeah, you'll probably see him want to get like 6 or 7 by the end of the run. Definitely want that bow and that flute.
I mean, did we do a stacked Mini Moldorm Cave here? That was
apparently
a ton of good stuff here.
And we'll see if they need any more money. Pod is a crystal, so they will need to go in there. And a Master Sword, oh boy. If they don't need anything else, they may only need the money for Pod, so that 300 will take care of all of that.
Yeah, certainly more than enough cover for, let's say, Bottle Vendor or dig game or chess game. Now, only thing, of course, they don't have enough money for at the time is Zora. But, given that there's plenty of opportunities to earn some more money, certainly can be an option for them later. We see Zelda is putting that hook shot to good use to try and save a few frames here and there on the overworld.
Okay, looks like something in the back of the blinds hut.
So get a bottle with a blue potion, nice safety.
That's a nice spot. Oh, and we're already on silvers. That's actually a pretty good blind hut with that bottle with blue silvers and another set of bombs there. Oh, we might have a required book here, either to get into desert or possibly to get a tablet later on. And they are both picking it up.
You know, having a bottle with blue goo is always really just a nice safety, right? And you know, it's just like super convenient, right? Along with all the other things, you know, in Blind's basement, there's no really reason to not pick it up.
You're not going super out of your way for one of those unless you need it for a sick kid, and it's the only convenient one. But if it's that easy to pick up, you're picking it up for sure. Looks like the well has nothing, because looks like nothing else in Kakariko, because Relkin floating right away to Death Mountain. Not even gonna rescue the old man.
He does need to be a little bit careful here on Death Mountain. On 3 hearts, these falling boulders are not going to take that into consideration for him.
Yeah, those boulders are no joke.
Looks like we have some divergence here from Zelda. It looks like he's going to fake flipper, presumably to waterfall.
Yeah, probably. And see, he could have gone to the hobo as well, but he's going into the portal, so this was definitely a waterfall fairy play.
Zelga's picking up that red cane. Certainly very required. Misery Mire is a crystal. Ice Palace is also crystal, so by the time they go there, they can certainly execute Icebreaker and save themselves a couple minutes.
Yeah, the cane has become super important the last few months because of that Icebreaker and even the Diver Down play, saving quite a bit of time. And Relkin picks up a hammer, so we definitely get to see. It looks like Zelga's going to head that way as well. Pick up his hammer. And we do see more money, so maybe Zora is a thing? Yeah, we did see a bug neck picked up. Which, you know, to be fair, in Spoiler, because you're not getting as many hearts, having the opportunity to pick up a fairy and stick it in a bottle is a little more useful than in normal races where you're not quite getting as much value as having a potion.
Yeah, and given that, you know, how low percent these guys are typically going to run, you know, a fairy refill is pretty much just as good as a red potion, and it's free, right?
Yep. But yeah, basically now we have our runners switching places, Zelda doing the Death Mountain checks, Relkin going into the Waterfall Fairy. Wonder where flippers are that we're doing this with the fake flippers.
Yeah, it looks like
probably nowhere convenient.
yeah. I mean, it looks like Swamp is a pendant, so perhaps we don't even need them, you know, outside of waterfall. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they don't need to go to Swamp, the only item I could see picking up flippers for is the one on the Zora ledge, which you can get around. You can do the new Ancilla. I guess it's not that new anymore, but the Ancilla Splash deletion can get you up there. There's also some ways to do it with a combination in Boots and Moon Pearl, but that's pretty time consuming. Headed towards Hype Cave. There must be something good in here.
You can see Zelda trying to avoid that memory, the muscle memory there, by not talking to the NPC.
The NPC is looking at him like, why aren't you talking to me?
It's like, I want attention too.
A fire rod and a fairy. There's another bottle that's in a nice on-the-way spot, so not surprised you pick it up there. Oh, Relkin did talk to him. He just had 20 rupees.
Well, Relkin is certainly significantly richer here than Zelda.
Yeah, I feel like Relkin isn't really concerning himself as much with exact chest locations, because he seems to be opening up all the chests in each of these locations that he goes to. Whereas Zelda, I think, is paying more attention to, you know, it's the third chest that has the fire rod type thing.
Meanwhile, Stumpy has a new suit for Phoenix, right? Looking more dapper, of course.
Yeah, blue mail, one of the best safeties you can get in a spoiler situation. And we're just going to save and quit to the sanctuary, which means probably... Let's see, where are we going next? Could do Thieves and Skullwoods. And since we're fluting to town, I'm going to guess that's where Zelda is heading.
Yeah, Relkin looks like he is following suit. Just a couple seconds here behind Zelda. Alright, Zelda, officially the first one into Dark World. Looks like he does not want to visit Skullwoods quite yet. In fact, he's going to visit the village of Outcasts first. Unfortunately, without the mitts, can't take the shortcut way to lift the block. He has to kind of go around and slash these bushes.
And without boots, you can't run through them either.
I know, it's just one of like the few, well, many situations where you just really want, man, I really wish I had those boots.
Yep. Okay, let's see what we got in the bombable hut. We have a peace heart. Oh, but that gets Zelda up to 5, so that's makes him a little healthier here.
Yeah, I can certainly see Zelda had just planned out his heart piece as well as heart container routes here. Speaking of the mitts,
yeah, now we have mitts. We don't even really need that much more at this point. I don't think we're gonna get flippers. If they're on path, they'll probably pick them up because why not? But they don't need to go either way for flippers unless something's in Swamp Palace. We will need a Quake medallion. We don't need a mirror. A mirror would be nice, but they don't need it because, again, Swamp Palace being a pendant. They might need boots. We don't know yet because Desert, don't know until you get there. I mean, they know because they've looked at the spoiler log.
And of course, there can always be the classic GT Big Key on Torch.
Yeah, that's a nasty one if in non-spoiler log. In a spoiler log, you're going to know ahead of time. It's got to be, just make sure you look up where that big key is before you start playing.
Alright, so, you know, we did get to see most of the 2 different ways of completing and getting to the back of this chest. I think Zelda remembered kind of later on that he does in fact have to take some Maria. He can save some time here over Relkin.
Oh, there's that Quake. Wow, that's... I mean, really, we basically have everything we need, unless boots are required. I'm sure we'll find out. If the boots aren't required, they might get them anyway, depending on just how bad a location they're at.
Yeah, and certainly if there's a 3rd sword along the way, I'm sure they'll be more than happy to pick it up.
Absolutely.
Alright, so Relkin entering the back of Skullwoods here with full health, 5 hearts to work with. Zelda only has 2, and so needs to be a little bit careful. Moth is not a easy boss on any number of hearts.
And Zelda not gonna... It could have gone the long way around that maze to pick up some extra hearts. Chooses not to. Does grab the full magic drop that was left by one of the mummies. But Zelda can manage to not get damaged. Just one more heart he can pick up here and be at basically almost full.
Yeah, giving him a little bit of trouble there. To quite.
Or he could just not. Yeah, or he could just not pick that up, or the heart drop that was there.
You know, so I know that in past races, both Zelda and Relkin are actively watching, or maybe not actively, but they're certainly in restream, kind of keeping tabs on each other. And so certainly the fact that Zelda maybe didn't want to pick up that extra part, you know, may have been a game time decision to see where Relkin was.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we've seen Zelda in chat several times, and reminder that is absolutely allowed in spoiler log. So you might see either one of them typing in chat.
Speak of the Zelda, Tracy, we see a wave from Zelda.
There you go. Interesting. Both runners picking up the 50-50 bomb under the rock there. Just to make sure they're going to have enough.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of time, it's pretty free, and having one extra bomb could really just save you, right? Resource management is completely underrated in Spoiler Log, and it's very, very important.
Yeah, resource management in Spoiler is so much more important than in a regular randomizer. I often say that the NMG players have a bit of an advantage because they know what all the pots are, or all the important pots are, and can find those resources when they need them.
Yeah, there certainly have been races that have been won and lost because players didn't have, let's say, enough arrows for upstairs GT, or ran out of silver arrow before they ended up fighting Vitreous.
We do see both runners in Misery Mire right now. With silver arrows, it shouldn't be too difficult.
Both runners doing a very excellent job here on Mire 2, putting those sword beams to good use. One of the few rooms where people want sword beams versus do not want them.
Okay, just grabbing the small key here, not going to bother with the chest, so nothing important in that room. Also means we don't have a God Mire, so we didn't even check the bridge chest.
They are certainly making their way towards the vanilla big key location, which is guarded by a quite lengthy cutscene. Hopefully it doesn't have to come to that, but, if the big key is there, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Or they could just pick up boots.
We can go fast!
That's not too bad a spot for boots.
Yeah, boots at 16 minutes. Certainly you really can't complain too much.
Yeah, if this wasn't Spoiler Log, you're not picking those up in 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, no, that is certainly true. Yeah, but really, I mean, like the only dungeon that they've really done so far is Skullwoods, and having a booster doesn't benefit them all too much. Unlike, let's say, like Thieves Town or Eastern.
Yep. And they do end up picking up the small key in the spike chest. So they can go this way. You actually don't really need to. You could go around the long way, but I don't blame them for going this way. Just pick up that spike key. Much simpler, much faster.
Yeah, time for these runners especially is very much at a premium. Health is very much a commodity.
A nice lamp location. Oh my.
That is so convenient. Well, yeah, okay, so now in Logic we can complete mine.
Yeah, there you go.
Alright, so one hopefully minor difference between these two runners so far is that while Zelda and Relkin both did pick up a bottle with blue potion, Relkin has in fact used his in Mire, whereas Zelda still has his safety. Now, given that Relkin has 938 rupees and he has the flute, I'm sure he can always float to the potion shop quickly and restock if he needs to.
Zelga's going to be the first one into Vidi. Sorry, Relkin's going to be the first one to get into Vidi. You can see what quick work you can make with silver arrows here.
Picking up that very useful compass that lets us now know how many items are in Mire. That they'll never have to visit ever again for this scene.
Yeah, well, if this were Key Sandy, yeah. Okay, and where are we headed next?
Yeah, so far, very little divergence for both these runners, a relatively same path, and you can actually just tell these guys are seconds apart from each other.
Looks like we're gonna get a pod play. From Relkin, Zelda, it looks like he wants to do desert. At this point, it doesn't really matter what order you do things in, I don't think. I don't know that we're picking up anything else, except maybe a sword somewhere. And if the mirror's on path, I suspect they'll want that, but don't particularly need either one.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I totally agree there. And if there are other kind of safeties, like art containers along the way, I can certainly see these runners picking up, especially if it's just very convenient. And that can actually influence what order of dungeons they do. So maybe, let's say, for example, Pod has another heart container that would be useful for later dungeons. Alright, looks like Desert was boost spot today. As good as these runners are, they cannot get around that logic, no matter how many fake boots they could do.
Yeah, they need it. Yep, boots were required. I was gonna say the silver arrows that they got will help them on Landmo, make it a pretty easy fight. Fire Rod also a nice way to kill Landmo. So those are the kind of things you might consider. Trying to think. The thing another sword would be most useful for would be Ice Palace and Cold Stare. Is it going to make a huge difference in any of the other dungeons? Maybe a little bit in Tower of Hera, but they're going to do Hera last because that's what you do in Spoiler Log. Unless Hera has something you absolutely need, you're doing it last, and then taking that mirror portal right back into GT.
Yeah, and given the kind of equipment that these guys have now, it's very hard to imagine, what other hard required items the Hera can hold for us.
And you can see how fast Pod can go if you know where the big key is. You can just pick up a small key and don't have to pick up anything else.
Relkin tearing through Pod here, just as Zelda just tore through Desert.
Very nice fight with Landmo there with the silvers.
You think Zelda's practiced that?
Probably.
You think he's played this game before? Maybe once or twice?
A few times.
Now, it's certainly very often the case that it is in Spoiler Log races, a lot of runners just kind of beelining towards the boost, but in this particular case, because the lamp was also on Mire, they get to take advantage of this light cone that they're seeing on, let's say, on Relkin's side. He doesn't have to do this Dark Turtle room in the dark.
If this were Spoiler Log, you probably would have seen a few dark rooms here. Like, I don't think it's not likely you're going to Mire before Pod in this situation. So yeah, you probably would have seen some dark rooms. Then you pick up the lamp, and it's like, thanks, game. But nope, it's spoilers, so we know where it is, and can just go ahead and get it.
Yeah, certainly both these runners are very fully capable of doing any dark rooms. Zelda has also demonstrated for us that he is also able to do spooky action in the dark in Mire. Now, kind of one other, nice-to-have item, especially, since you mentioned Ice Palace earlier, Tracy, was that if they can find half magic somewhere, that would also be really nice.
Half magic is very useful, especially if they end up on only Master Sword, having that extra little bit of magic in the GT fight. Especially if they have like the cape to go with it. I personally like the powder for safety, but.
Oh yeah, the powder is one of the best safeties.
But that's the kind of thing you're not going to go out of your way for at all. I think I'd go more out of my way for half magic.
Powder is really only good if you get hit, right? And you never get hit in these things, of course not.
Oh, never. Okay, now Relkin going into Desert. Zelda going to finish up Pod. And they'll kind of converge up again. I'm going to guess Thieves Town, then Ice, but we'll see.
Yeah, not sure if this is going to make too much of a difference, but Relkin right now is in the light world, so if he could just float away, Zelda, after beating Pod, will need to save and quit. But, given that he doesn't have a mirror.
So since you mentioned it before, this is another spot where you like to have those sword beams. So you get one less menu in the next room to hit the switch.
That is very reminiscent of an NMG run. Yeah, so what normally happens is, sword beams can sometimes interfere with the actual damage of the sword. Yeah, so as you said, people really like typing sword beams right at the screen that Zelda is, and then immediately lose the sword beams on this screen, so then they can actually have the Master Sword damage in the next screen.
Yeah, I mean, with Master Sword, I tend to just use hammer anyway. But certainly if you have a tempered sword or higher, then yeah, going out of your way to take a little bit of damage so you don't have sword beams there is very useful. Basically what happens is the enemies get iframes just like you do. And if the sword beams hit an enemy, then it'll register the sword beam amount of damage, which is the same as a fighter sword, instead of registering the sword amount of damage, and makes it more difficult.
Alright, looks like Zelda on his very clean Bulbasaur fight is going to be out of pod a little bit faster than Velka's going to be out of desert. Now, in the last game that Zelda had versus Relkin, in the interview, Relkin had postulated that he may not pick up that many safeties because he is worried about the amount of time spent for safety, so I am kind of glad to see that he actually does have a little bit of buffer.
Okay, let's see where Zelda's gonna go now. Thieves Town or Ice? Looks like we're gonna do Thieves Town first. Really, if there's anything even remotely useful in Thieves Town, this is probably the better way to go. Otherwise, it just doesn't matter. With the flute and the boots, not going to be much of a difference.
Yeah, and given that blind doesn't take any different damage based on what kind of item or weapon that you have, doing Thieves Town, especially has nothing. It's really just at your discretion.
Now, if there's a sword here, then you definitely want to get that before going into Ice Palace, because Cold Stare with the Master Sword is not the same as Cold Stare with a Tempered.
That is indeed a very true statement, Tracy. I wholeheartedly agree. And it's not because I die, twice as frequently on Cold Stare as I do Temper Sword. Certainly, we do see some experience from these runners, in the bronze match, being able to read the chest for Thieves Town, going to the exact chest for which has the big key versus trying to figure out which is, let's say, the big key chest or the ambush chest.
Big key chest they should know theoretically, but the ambush chest, yeah. I could definitely see not knowing what the spoiler log is, which chest that spoiler log is referring to.
Can we just see a really nice dash for the Hellway here for Zelda? Oh my gosh!
Oh, Relkin gets it too.
Yeah, congratulations, Relkin. I was a little bit worried that he wasn't going to get it because he didn't start. He was slightly delayed, but he managed to still pick it up.
Yeah, that's not an easy dash. Not only do you have to time it right, but sometimes you just get screwed by RNG. So far, we're not picking up much in Thieves Town. Which I guess shouldn't surprise me too much, because Crystal Thieves Town, it's Pendant Thieves Town that always seems to have something. This is a Crystal Thieves Town.
Yeah, progression always seems to be in locations where you don't think you need to go.
Or more to the point, don't want to go.
Want to go, yeah, that's...
Not picking up the Maiden's chest. Don't even have a key to check the big chest. Key might actually be in the big chest. We'll never know. Well, we could look it up, but...
That's right, these guys know. I guess we could too. Yeah, both runners did not pick up the mini chests, as you said. Sometimes it is actually just difficult for runners to fight that muscle memory to kind of pick things up. It's like, oh, you talk to me and then you just pick up you open that chest always. But no, in a spoiler log, you don't actually need to spend those frames.
Well, especially in Thieves Town, because Thieves Town is just not a go mode dungeon. Very rarely do you get into Thieves Town in go mode in a regular situation. And even if you do, you often check those chests anyway, hoping that you get something good. Zelda making very quick work of blind, following the script very nicely. Relkin looks like he's on script for the first 2 rounds. Let's see if he can finish this out. And he does.
Yeah, it looks like damageless on both sides. Always really nice to see.
And now we're going to head towards Ice Palace.
You know, all things considered, this, you know, in addition to kind of giving most of them progression items, you know, basically, you know, before the 15-minute mark, you know, like these runners doesn't seem to pay any attention to Eastern Swamp, you know, so far, which is 2 pendant dungeons. Everything.
Well,
so
they're
far
definitely, yeah, they're definitely not going into Swamp because we would have seen that they would have had to pick up Flipper for that.
Yeah, Relkin looks like just a few seconds here behind Zelda, heading into Ice Palace.
And now that we know that no one's picking up flippers, because, well, if they were going to, they would have done it. So before Ice Palace, the flippers were in the back of Escape in in the right chest. So not too far out of the way. That wouldn't be terrible, but not worth it if you don't need them for anything else.
Yeah, really, in a matchup like this, you know, when everything is just super close, you are going to want every single time advantage given to you as you can get. And really, the execution for both these runners have been so on point. I mean, there have just been so few, I would say, even like hiccups, mistakes, and everything has just been first try.
So I've been heading into the icebreaker.
Yeah, icebreaker room? Is that what it's called?
I just called it the icebreaker, but I guess we could call it the icebreaker. I'm not sure what it used to be called. And gets it very quickly. Relkin's turn. Remembers to grab that small key, because you do need 1 small key to get through here. And picks up 20 rupees just for the heck of it.
You know, he could buy 2 extra hearts as refills from a shop.
Oh, there you go.
I think Zelda was trying to get the swag, what is it, transition down. Didn't quite end up getting it this time.
And we are going to be doing Cold Stare with the Master Sword. And we're not going to have any Fire Rod well, okay, so let's see what Zelda does. You can conserve a little bit of magic here if you fire Sword Beams and the Fire Rod at the same time. So you see I only used half his magic there, because the Sword Beams will count as Fire Rod shots for that first phase.
Yeah, really nice initial phase. Right after Cold Stare breaks out of the shell, Zelda's able to, you know, bunch them on together to use his Fire Rod. Certainly makes it for a much safer fight when, you know, things are much bunched together versus, you know, Cold Stare kind of like running amok on you.
Yeah, Relkin doing the same thing with the Sword Beams. Gonna switch to the hammer.
That blue mail was pretty clutch there for Relkin. I got hit by one of these falling snowballs. Normally do 2 hearts of damage because he has blue mail and only did 1.
Okay, Relkin having a little tougher time with Cold Stare, but does get through it. And now we're gonna head up to Hera. We never even rescued the old man.
What is
with the flute? You don't have to. The old man's just sitting there in the dark, waiting.
I mean, he even has a goodie for us, you know, like as a tip for rescue. And these runners aren't even tempted.
Nope. Don't need it.
Zelda's going to be up the mountain right after the 34-minute mark with Hera for sure to do, GT for sure to do, and then potentially something in Turtle Rock if he wants it.
I can't think of anything in Turtle Rock that you're gonna get at this point. But Zelda, little surprised he's not going into. Oh wait, because we don't have a mirror, so you have to do it this way. No mirror makes this not nearly as good.
If this ends up being a mirror, let's see though, it doesn't actually happen all that often. Oh wow, really nicely done by Zelda there for almost, well actually just pretty much first try Hera pot.
Yeah, in a spoil situation, you don't have to worry about the Hera pot can screw you over if something's in that big chest. Here, we don't care. We know it's in the big chest, so would have picked it up if they picked up the big key if they needed it.
Zelda has a really nice fight here with a potential equalizer. Moldorm doesn't really matter. Care how much hearts or armor you have, it will happily knock you down any sort of pits it sees fancy.
Okay, now we have to run all the way back here, go through the portal, come all the way back to GT.
Excellent also fight by relkin for Moldorm. He is also going to pick up his crystal and then head over to presumably the same Dark World portal that Zelda is at right now.
And even if we wanted to go into TR, we never picked up Bombo, so... Oh, but we are going into Hookshot Cave.
Yes, maybe there's
I bet there's got to be a sword. I can't think of what else you're going to pick up here. Yep, and there's a tempered sword.
Yeah, you called it, Tracy.
That's a pretty quick pickup, so I think definitely worth the time to pick that up.
Alright, as Zelda is heading into Ganon's Tower, we typically like to play a game to guess where the GT big key is. However, because these guys have the spoiler log, they are not going to be checking every chest in the basement, so feel free to put down the exact location where you think the GT big key is. By the way, kudos to both these runners to know exactly where the route is within Hookshot Cave to get the tempered sword. Because I think typically muscle memory, yeah, you just go in a loop, right?
Hey, look, and there's a mirror.
Speaking of the mirror, hey, that would have been nice and useful about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, and smart of Zelda to go ahead and pick that up, because unless the big key is in one of those very first locations, it's going to take longer to walk back to get back to the top of the tower, or have to death warp than it is to just go ahead and pick it up. I suspect Relkin will go ahead and pick it up as well.
Yeah, at least, in a spoiler log, Zelda being on 5 hearts, Relkin being on a total of 6 hearts, death warping isn't too painful, but yes, I mean, a mirror transition is going to be always faster than whatever other methods they have to get out of the basement. Okay,
I'm wrong. Relkin not going to pick up that mirror. But this turned out to be in the Stalfos room, so it's not too bad a backtrack. Probably fairly close, and Relkin, figuring he's a bit behind, probably decides just to go ahead and just pick up that big key. But now he's going to have to kill the Stalf. Oh, he's just going to death warp, so that works just as well.
Yeah, I think he had already let go of his fairy, or used it. So
yeah, he did.
Hoping here, is going to be fast for him.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Zelda does still have the fairy, so definitely smart of him to go ahead and pick up that mirror.
Yeah, and Relkin, being on I think it was 2.5 hearts earlier. If he death warps, he ends up getting kind of like a little free mini health refill.
Yeah. Although these runners are very low here, both on 2 hearts. That's pretty scary going into the gauntlet. Oh, Zelda down to half a heart. Okay. This might be the... Oh, no. Okay, he's going to keep going. He does have that fairy, though. So he should be fine. Without that fairy, I could see him going into the fairy room. Zelda has both the fairy and the blue potion still.
Oh man, Relkin making through those spikes on one heart. Very nicely done, Relkin. A bit scary from the viewer's side.
Relkin being very careful. Yeah,
it
Relkin
looks
is going to go ahead and take the refill because he has no extra safety.
Oh, kind of unfortunate. Maybe he is still just thinking that he's behind, but he did have a bug net and 2 empty bottles. But I guess choosing in this case not to pick one up.
Oh, nice magic drop there for Zelda. I mean, he would have been fine without it, but that just makes his life a lot easier. Won't have to pick up the extra magic in between the torches rooms. Down to 1.5 hearts, though. Gonna have to be careful here. Still has that fairy, though.
Yeah,
obviously prefers not to use it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yes, that is. Yeah, but I'm sure that part of the fact that he has that safety is just allowing him to basically be more aggressive.
Yeah, absolutely.
You really have to give kudos to both these runners, though. They are tearing through this gauntlet. I mean, the execution here by both these runners has just been on point.
Okay, Zelda making quick work of Moldorm 2. Not picking up anything else.
Zelda here will be the first one into Aga 2. If Relkin is watching, he will have the same patterns as Aga and Ganon are both seated the same.
Nice triple there. Alright, Zelda finishing up Aga 2.
Looks like Relkin is just actually a few rooms behind, and then he's going to start his Aga 2 fight. Zelda here dropping into Ganon, Tempered Sword. Should be a fairly straightforward fight. Straightforward being that he needs to not get hit on 2.5 hearts.
Yeah, well, that would help. The safety Zelda has is his fairy and his potion, so no cape to help him out. Gold Sword turns out was sitting in the Eastern Palace on the Armos Night, so certainly weren't going to go out of our way to get that. No, he's fine. He's got a fairy.
Oh, that's right. Thank you for reminding me.
Got a fairy.
Oh, the emotional roller coaster that sometimes we get watching these races.
Yeah, without that fairy, that would have been extremely costly. Would have given Relkin the lead.
Alright, Zelda is past the most dangerous phases of Ganon here. Relkin is just starting his Ganon fight.
Okay, Zelda gets the early shot off. Doesn't get the torch glitch, but you don't need it in this situation. Might get a triple here. Oh, very nice Ganon finish.
Well executed, Zelda. Very beautiful.
And Zelda finishing up with an official SRL time of 59:13. So take off that study time. That's 44:13. Only I think the third race we've seen sub-hour, including spoilers. So very nicely done.
That is a ridiculous amount of time. Or lack of time in this case for Zelda.
Sure.
Alright, so we see that Relkin is taking on Ganon for the second time. Because he did take a death, he will actually not have the same work patterns as Zelda did, because they're only seeded the same the first time. So, this could have been, Relkin's Gambit to get fewer works.
Does that change even with the fairy revival?
Oh, no, actually, that's a good question.
I actually don't know.
I thought the reset happened after you dropped, but I could be wrong.
Either way, Relkin is in the final round here. Nice double. One more shot and he's got it finished.
One more shot, that's right, and he's got it finished.
We'll get it this time.
I was pretty surprised that that earlier tail arrow didn't hit. Ganon's pretty big, right?
All right, Relkin finishing up with an official SRL time of 1 hour 41 seconds. So that's 45 minutes and 41 seconds. Also a very, very, not quite sub-hour, but very, very good time. And while we're waiting for them to join us in the chat here, I do want to remind you all that you should not leave this station, because right after we're done talking to these guys, we are going to head into Game 1 of the finals, Aussie versus Kyong. It's going to be a very good race. Kyong, I don't know that I need to say much about him. He's shown time and again how good he's a spoiler. Aussie, maybe a bit of an underdog, but, he also think he's a little bit underrated. And, it'll be a really good race. I know I'm going to be tuned into it.
Yeah, it's not often you get to say, oh, Aussie's the underdog in this situation.
No.
But yes, absolutely. Kyong actually is, in fact, undefeated so far. He has won every single match of the Swiss stage, and he has not lost a single match in the brackets. So it could be actually Aussie's opportunity to take one down on Kyong. So it looks like we're just waiting for our runners to
There they are.
All right.
And welcome into Zelda and Relkin. GG's to both of you.
GG's both of you guys.
Yeah, thank you. GG's. Much appreciated.
GG's.
Zelda, congratulations on securing your bronze title for this year's Spoiler Log Tournament.
Thank you. It feels pretty good. This is probably like my favorite way to play rando, so I'm happy to have like my best result of a tourney to be here. Kind of feels like home.
Yeah, sub-hour, including spoiler time, is pretty impressive. And Relkin not even that far behind, so very nicely done for both of you.
Yeah, really, neither of you let up on execution. I mean, just like the amount of things that you guys were doing first try and succeeding was just insane.
Yeah, I feel like both of these seeds were kind of like low safety styles. Nothing was super convenient. Like the heart containers in this time were all buried in pendants or GT. It was just really hard trying to piece together a good route that would stay safe. And eventually you just kind of have to not stay safe anymore and just hope your execution shines with you.
Yeah, those last two swords.
You're not going to go up to Hookshot Cave, before the rest of the dungeons are done.
No.
So.
Maybe if we had had like a convenient mirror or something, that would have helped.
Yeah, mirrors. Yeah, and speaking of the mirrors, so Zelga, you went and picked it up, which made sense because you had you still had a ferry at the time, which came in handy later on. And Relkin, having already used the ferry, could easily just death warp. So it made a lot of sense that you made the choices that you did.
Yeah, felt I was actually thinking about it afterwards. I think I routed it wrong. If I was gonna get the mirror, I should have got the key off the torch and then just gone through the middle door, and then got the mirror and then go left again.
Yeah, because there was a key in that room too. So yeah, you would have been fine.
Rocket, you ran an amazingly great series. Zelda obviously is a very tough opponent. How does it feel to have 4th place finish in the Spoiler Log Tournament?
It's a pretty good feeling. I met my goal of making brackets already, and winning against Pika Pals was a plus, I guess. I was hoping to take at least one game. After I guess the super bonus would have been taking a game off of either Zelga or Kyung, but that didn't happen. But I'm still happy with the result. I think.
Did you run Spoiler Log last year or anything before this tournament at all?
I did, but I sucked back then, so you didn't hear from me at all. I lost. I went 0-2 against Bentizi, so no one even cared.
I mean, that's a tough opponent. I don't blame you.
Well, having your 4th place finish here certainly does not give you any more opportunity, I guess, to say that you suck.
No, you definitely don't suck anymore.
No, but Zelga and I are still both bad at this game. Can you agree?
Absolutely. I mean, have you seen the actual good people at this game that are going to follow this up?
Yeah, we do have a pretty good matchup. You guys want to say anything to add to the hype of Aussie versus Kyung coming up?
They beat us for a reason.
They're extremely good. Kyung has not lost a game in this entire tournament, if that tells you anything.
Yeah, we were just talking about how a little weird for Aussie to be an underdog, but he is. And see if he can do what underdogs do best, I guess. See if he can take one here.
Yeah, certainly all eyes are on the next match coming up and seeing if Aussie can, in fact, take Kyung down 1 peg, or hopefully even 2 for Aussie's sake. But Zelda and Broken, you guys, performed very, very beautifully. To get to, certainly to get to this stage of the tournament is a feat that only, I guess, 2 other people could do, outside of you guys.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really happy with this, and I feel like we had 2 really good races. Even though I may have won at 2-0, but I mean, that doesn't really say what happened in the races. These were both pretty close.
Absolutely.
In the grand scheme. So I feel like we put up pretty good fights here. And yeah, GG's to Relkin. This was a lot of fun.
Yep, GG's. Thank you to the trackers and the restreamer and the commentary. And a special thanks to Zelga for finishing this up tonight so I could run the Casual Boots ladder race tomorrow night. Thank you, dude.
I know you're a little bit torn about that, so.
So any future plans after this tournament?
There's some other things going on. There's a cross keys tourney I'm doing, and some I think there might be some co-op shenanigans happening sometime soon.
Yeah, in fact, we're in the same group in those co-op shenanigans.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, we are.
Oh, so we'll get to see some Relkin versus Zelda rematches?
Maybe.
It's actually going to be Dante versus Sabatender that you really want to watch.
Also good runners, so yeah. All right, I think that's going to do it for us. Also, definitely want to thank Clear Mouse for joining me, and Reg for doing the tracking, doing the hard work behind the scenes, and of course, once more congratulations to our runners, Zelga finishing in 3rd place, Relkin in 4th place. Stay tuned. We do have the next race coming up pretty soon. Once we get off the air here, we'll get the next group on. We got Hammer and Mercer with the call, so definitely stay tuned for that.
Yeah, it's going to be a really great race with really great comms. Tracy, thank you so much for co-commentating with me. It's always a blast. Zelga and Relkin, thank you so much for participating in this year's tournament and putting on an extremely great show all throughout the season for us. Very much a pleasure to watch throughout.